Hello, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today I have my February book haul. So, funny story with this book haul. Up until Friday, and I'm now filming this on a Sunday, I only had one book to haul for you and also a library book, but now I have 14. So for Valentine's weekend, we went to a town that isn't too far from home, but the book shopping in the charity shops is really good. And then on the Saturday we went to a different town, also good book shopping, and I bought a lot of books. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So the first book that I bought, which I think I actually bought at the end of January, was The Last Namsara by Kristen Cicerelli. I don't know too much about this. I only know that Jade from JD Ray Reads has read it and absolutely loved it. And it's about a dragon slayer, which is all I really needed to know, to be honest, because look at that cover. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's about dragons, so I had to buy it. Then we have my library book, which is Otherworld by Jason Segel and Kirsten Miller. I don't really know anything about this apart from that it's quite new and it's a sci-fi YA virtual reality type thing. I wasn't actually too interested in this, and the only reason that I ended up picking it up is because my library is not the best and I know that this book is pretty new, so I was like, well, I might as well get this one. Then we move into my second-hand books, and I have to admit a lot of these I don't know a lot about because I picked up a couple of thrillers that I don't really like to know much about, and then just a couple of things that I recognised. So a majority of these I won't really have much of an idea about. So the first one is the first book that I bought and I was super excited to find it, and that is The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chimer. It's not the first book I bought, I just lied. This is the first book in the Seven Realms trilogy, but I'm actually pretty sure it isn't a trilogy because I know Maddie from the Book Pusher is reading it and I'm pretty sure it's a long series. I will have to look into that. I really don't know what this is about apart from it's an epic high fantasy, and apparently it's really good. I also picked up The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. Again, don't really know what this is about, but I know that it's a YA paranormal romance. I thought that it was about a girl that kills people she touches, but then Najwa told me that that was Shatami, so I'm not sure what this one's about. I believe that Mara Dyer wakes up in a hospital and all of her friends are dead, but she doesn't know why. And that's all I know. Then I got a contemporary, and that is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Not sure of the whole plot of this, but I do know that it's about a girl called Kath who writes fanfiction, and I believe it's sort of a gay Harry Potter fanfiction that she writes, and in between the actual story there's excerpts from her fanfiction which is also expanded on in Carry On. So the fanfiction that Kath writes then makes up the book Carry On, also by Rainbow Rowell. I think that's right, although I don't really have much of a clue. Then we have Temeraire by Naomi Novik. Naomi Novik also writes Uprooted, which I also have, but I haven't read it yet. This I know is again about dragons, and I believe that Naomi Novik writes fairy tale-esque books. I was a little iffy about picking this up because I haven't read Uprooted and I know a lot of people really didn't like it. So maybe this one isn't so good either, but the cover is stunning and it was £2, so I had to buy it. Then we have another absolutely amazing find, and that was Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Once again, I don't know anything about this apart from it's by Brandon Sanderson and I believe it's his debut novel, and it is also a standalone, I think. Although I do believe, has it been rumoured that there's going to be more and it's going to turn into a series? I'm not sure, but if it's by Brandon Sanderson and it's cheap, I'm going to buy it. Then we have the only two other books that I bought new this month. The first one is Scythe by Neil Shusterman, which I've wanted to read for quite some time. It's about it's about a utopian world where everything is perfect. There's no death, there's no disease or any sort of thing that can kill you. So the only way that people die, because they still have to control the population, is if a scythe chooses that they die. So I believe it's about two people who are training to be scythes, and they have to sort of pick and choose who out of the population they have to kill. Obviously there's been a lot of hype surrounding this with Thunderhead coming out. I'm not sure if it is already out yet, but I've just really wanted to read it for some time, and it was on buy one get one half price, so I was like, yeah, now is the time to buy this. So I had a bit of trouble picking my other book for buy one get one half price because they didn't have such a great selection, but I did get Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Nouvelle, which is another book I've been meaning to read for quite some time. This is about a young girl who is, I think she's out riding a bike, and she falls down a hole and finds a giant metal hand. And then when she's older, she joins the team of researchers that are researching the giant metal body parts that have been found all over Earth. And I believe it makes some sort of massive robot type thing that's extraterrestrial technology or something like that. The only other thing I know about this is that it's told mainly entirely in interviews, which is an interesting format. I don't think I've read a book like that before. I've obviously heard great things about this, and I don't read as much sci-fi as I would like to, so I'm really excited to read this one. Back to the secondhand books. We have The Diamond Throne by David Eddings. Now, I'm going to be honest, this one only cost me £1, and in the charity shop that I was in, it was in the YA section, so I thought, okay, I've never heard of it, but it looks like a YA high fantasy type thing, so I'll get it. So I get back to the hotel and I look on Goodreads, and it's actually the first book in, it's called the Elenium trilogy, and it's actually like an epic fantasy, high fantasy adult sort of series. So not at all what I expected it to be, but as it's high fantasy, I am of course willing to give it a risk, because it's the medieval kind of high fantasy, which is what I really like, but I really don't know anything about it at all. Then I got Grave Peril by Jim Butcher, which is the third or fourth book in the Dresden Files. I read these when I was a kid, like I was much too young to read them because there's a lot of adult content in these, but my mum had them, so I was reading them. And I don't remember anything about them apart from that it's about Harry Dresden, who is a paranormal detective in the human world. So any sort of mysteries or murders that are classed as supernatural, he then goes and investigates. I really wanted to read them now that I'm older and can actually appreciate them. They're more of an urban fantasy, which is something that I don't read a lot of, but I do remember them being really funny and quite good. So I am collecting them again because my mum doesn't have her copies anymore. And this is the, like I said, third or fourth book. Another contemporary was The Little Paris Bookshop by Nina George. I don't know much about this. Obviously it's about a bookshop. I'll just read you the top paragraph of the synopsis because that's sort of what hooked me in. On a beautiful restored barge on the Seine, Jean Perdue runs a bookshop, or rather a literary apothecary, for this bookseller possesses a rare gift for sensing which books will soothe the troubled souls of his customers. So it's about a mysterious bookshop. I know that Natasha from My Reading Is Odd has read this and she really enjoyed it, so I saw it. It was 99p. I'll give it a shot. And then we have the two thrillers that I bought. The first one is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I believe this takes place on a cruise ship, and there's a woman in cabin 10 and the main character talks to her, and then she asks somebody about the woman in cabin 10 because I believe she hasn't seen her in a while and nobody knows who she's talking about. So it kind of reminds me of the Murder on the Orient Express, I think, by Agatha Christie. My mum's a huge Agatha Christie book, so even though I haven't read most of them, I know all of the plots. So I believe that the synopsis of the Agatha Christie one is that somebody's on the Orient Express and then they get murdered, and somebody says, oh, where's this person? And nobody believes her. So this sounds very similar to that, but obviously a lot more modern. And it's been super hyped on BookTube. I am currently reading my second ever thriller that I recall reading anyway. And I really want to read more of them. So when I saw a super hyped thriller for 99p, I had to buy it. And the last book that I bought, and the second thriller, is another super hyped one. But this one I've actually heard isn't so good. But as I'm extremely new to the thriller genre, I thought it would be okay if I read it, because obviously I'm not as experienced in the thriller genre as a lot of people are. And that is Good Me, Bad Me by Ali Land. I have to admit that I almost didn't buy it because I'd heard it wasn't very good. But look at the shine on this cover. So for 99p, I had to buy it. Don't know a whole lot about this one because when I heard it wasn't very good, I automatically wasn't very interested in it. But I think it's about the daughter of a serial killer, and she turned her mother into the police because she was the only one who knew who the serial killer was. And then she goes to a foster family and it's approaching her mother's trial. That's all I know. Like I said, with thrillers, I kind of like to just open the book and see what happens, so I don't want to know a lot. So that's everything for my February book haul. Absolutely crazy that I wasn't going to bother doing a haul this month because I had one book, and then within 2 days I ended up having 14 books to haul for you all. So that's just my crazy book buying habits. As usual, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to, and also pop down in the comments below if you've read any of these or which ones I should read first. If you head into the description box below, you will find a link to my Goodreads, my Instagram, my Twitter if you want to follow me on any of those, and also a link to my Bookish Candle and Body Butter website and the Instagram for that if you'd like to check any of that stuff out. That's everything from me today. Bye!